Hi, I'm Wednesday. Welcome to my Twin Flame TV and Tarot channel. Um, Last video I spoke to you about shadow work, and I promised you that I would do a follow-up video telling you why it's beneficial to sometimes get assistance when doing your shadow work. It's taken me a couple of days to do this because I've put a lot of thought into this because I'm going to be talking about my own experience in doing this, and it is very personal to me, and it was important to me that I find the right way of putting what I'm trying to say across. Okay, and that's just taken me a little while. So, thank you for being patient. I hope I haven't made you wait too long, but as I said, it's something that's very personal, and I just I wanted to go about this the right way, so I kind of put a lot of thought into it. So if it's taken me a while, I'm really sorry. Um, but I'm sure it'll be worth the wait. Last time I spoke to you about shadow work and that human nature is what it is, and that when doing your shadow work, human nature and our ego often only takes us to a certain point within our own emotions. When things get too emotional, often we tend to avoid it. We don't want to go there, you know. So sometimes, if you really want to resolve and do your shadow work effectively, it can be um, quite helpful if you get assistance. Now, assistance in this can take a lot of different forms. Some people get insights from readers, clairvoyance, clairsentience, and the world of spirit in general. Some people hire a life coach. Some people a personal trainer. I mean, change, a catalyst for change can come in a lot of different forms. And it all depends on what you want to achieve in your shadow work. Um, and there's no rule book to this. What works for you works for you. Some people hire a personal trainer with a certain philosophy, or some people go to a spiritual life coach, or even a life coach, or a motivational speaker, just to give them an insight to their own thought process and how they can go about changing it. But shadow work is a little different because you're dealing with your own wounds and your own pain. Um, yeah, just having someone on board that pushes you that little bit further when things get emotional can be very beneficial. I did this in form of hiring a spiritual life coach. Her name's Michelle Schofield. She's an American living in London. She is a twin flame herself, and not only specializes in self-discovery and self-assertion and realization, but also in twin flame journeys. Now, she has clients that she helps detach from their twin flame connection emotionally so they can move on. She also has twins that want to align with their twin. And she helps a lot of people on a lot of different levels. It's not just twin flame. She's a spiritual life coach. She does everything. And she's very competent. And I have to say, my experience with her took me back to myself to a very large extent. Yeah, a lot quicker than I would have got there by myself. Yeah, there's no other way of saying it. It is what it is. Yeah, she took me that little bit further. Yes, it was painful. Yes, I felt vulnerable. I felt uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, it was more than beneficial. Just to give you an example, I'm a person that in the course of their life has always been aware that people come into your life to leave again. And I've only ever built into human attachments going to a certain extent. I've never gone what other people call all in. Yeah. Um, because my head takes over. and doesn't allow me to emotionally attach beyond that certain point. Now, in the course of my life, I've noticed that my relationships often follow a pattern. And I wanted to take a look at that pattern, and I wanted to take a look where my contribution in this pattern is, yeah, and what it boils down to. Now, during one of our sessions, Michelle said to me, if you could give the head side of you and the heart side of you both sort of an animation, a cartoon character, a face, and a personality, what would it be and why? So I thought about it for a minute. And I thought to myself, okay. So I said, yeah, my head half is this proud, ferocious, competent, logical, strong lioness. Yeah, she can deal with anything. She can take down prey 3 times her size. You know, she can deal with anything. But the heart side of me is more like a little lion cub. Yeah. She's cute, she's playful, she wants to laugh, giggle, get attached, fall in love, you know, and experience all these lovely things. But head half of me, you know, the big ferocious lioness, she knows that as soon as someone leaves again, that it's going to be painful. So she doesn't even allow that. Yeah, she keeps the emotional half of me, that sweet, cute little lion cub, in check. Yeah. And it sort of made me realize that I avoid attachment because at the end of the day, I have abandonment issues. I'm aware that as soon as you get attached to someone and as soon as you allow yourself to feel, that you're leaving yourself open to pain. So I always try to sort of keep those 2 parts of me, you know. I always thought that I was well balanced. Funnily enough, you know, I'd be like, no, only go so far emotionally and then let your head kick in and you'll be okay, yeah? You'll be able to let go when the time comes. So I've only ever really built relationships in the awareness that these people are sooner or later not going to be in my life anymore. So through giving these 2 parts of me not only a face but their own sort of persona, it made it clear to me how self-conflicted I actually fucking am when it comes to relationships and feelings. The one half of me wants all of these things and wants intimacy and closeness, but the other half of me is very aware that gaining it means losing it at some point in your life. So I've never really allowed myself to emotionally give in. Yeah. I've always practiced quiet restraint. Yes, I've told people that I love them and I've been sincere about it. But I've never let it I've never let being in love cloud my head. Yeah, I've always stopped myself. Yeah. And it made me realize that I'm actually quite fear-based when it comes to attachment. Yeah. And that is through my awareness that people are in and out of your life all of the time. The next step was that I took a look at where that comes from. Now, because my parents were always working parents and I spent a lot of my childhood with other people, um, I was never able to bond with anyone, you know, and I never allowed myself to bond with anyone. And I think that partners I've had have felt this subconsciously. And I understand now where a lot of my partners and ex-partners' insecurities have come from, because they've always felt that I'm holding back, that I'm not loving with all of me, that I'm stopping myself. And what I used to sort of call independence and self-sufficiency, and the refusal to be dependent on anyone, whether it be physically, emotionally, financially, what I've always thought was fierce independence was actually nothing but fear-based behavior concerning intimacy and attachments. And I've always wondered why it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it? Because I'm aware that people leave, they are eventually going to leave, because I'm not allowing myself to attach to them. So I found myself in a vicious circle, and my sessions with Michelle just took me beyond that point to really take a look at this and resolve it, and now I feel differently about it. I feel differently about attachment. I feel differently about detachment as well. Yeah, and I've learned to be discerning about what I allow myself, or who I allow myself to get attached to, and who I don't, or what I don't. So sometimes doing your shadow work and consciously initiating change within your perspective and subsequently yourself automatically changes your outward reality, because you've got a different perception of it. So, I find that it's a work in progress. I always have to take a look at things, especially when I find things that trigger me on a subconscious level, where I'm like, okay, why did I just say that? Why did I just react that way? You know? So yeah, it's hard to describe, It's the first step of becoming fully self-aware and bringing into consciousness what sort of thought processes you have. And it's the first step to eliminating negative thought process, because once you understand that your negative thought processes come from your fear and your own experience as a child and as an adolescent and sometimes even an adult, that's when you can free yourself of it, And I understand now where I went wrong in my relationships. I always made my partners feel unneeded, because I was that busy trying to not get attached. Yeah, loving without being attached. And funnily enough, I've realized now that I was kind of on the right track, but I was going the wrong way about it. Yeah, attachment is the opposite to love. So learning this and discovering that side of myself and discovering why I react to attachment the way I do, it sort of enabled me to see red flags and say, okay, this is what this is, but yeah, I wanted to give you an example of what shadow work can look like, and what it entails, and why it can be beneficial to sort of get someone on side. Life coaches come in different forms and sizes. Sometimes they're readers, that give you spiritual guidance from spirit. Sometimes they're qualified spiritual life coaches. Sometimes they're people with that are old souls, yeah? That are old souls that have acquired knowledge and wisdom over multiple lifetimes that can really give you insight to how human nature works and how that nature plays a part in your own behavior and your life. There's no rule book to how you do your shadow work. The important thing is that you do this consciously, and you do this when you're already pretty stable. Some people are pushed into doing their shadow work through entering something that's called the dark night of the soul. It's the beginning of the death of your ego to initiate spiritual awakening. Often spirit starts this off with a traumatic separation, the meeting and separation from your twin, or a death close to you. It can be triggered by anything. But once you're pushed into the dark night of the soul and you start to want to take a look at the darker side of your nature, you're on the first spring of the ladder to ascension and spiritual growth and development. The important thing is that when you're in the dark night of the soul, to remember that there is always light at the end of the tunnel. And if you can't deal with the heaviness of this, please talk to someone who's somewhat spiritually awake or aware. Often going to psychologists and doctors doesn't cut it. Yeah, it doesn't, because they're academically schooled and often only believe what they've been taught, of course, like we all do. So, going to someone that's spiritually somewhat aware and awake is crucial when you're going through the dark night of the soul, because it's the death of your ego that's taking place. Yeah. It's coming to the realization that your belief systems and what you held on to all of your life, which is what you were taught, is no longer valid. And this can push you into an energy of disillusionment, disappointment, guilt, a feeling of even self-betrayal, selling out, selling yourself short all of your life. It's connected to a lot of different emotions that are different for each one of us. Yeah, because we've all got different experiences. The point is that you're waking up to spiritual truth. Yeah. Please be kind and gentle with yourself when this happens, and try to surround yourself with positivity and positive people. And remember to do things that relax your mind. Because the more you practice this, and the more you practice self-love and self-care, and they're both things that, to be honest, you've got to fake until you make. Yeah, self-love and self-care is something that you've got to fake until you make. You've got to consciously do things that make you feel good and feel like you're feeding your soul without being destructive to your body or your soul in the process. And once you learn to do this consciously, eventually it becomes habitual. And you get to the point where you don't even have to think about caring for yourself anymore. Yeah, you do it automatically. So self-love and self-care also involves making the right decisions for yourself, knowing what serves you and what doesn't, in the short or the long term. So if you're going through the dark night of the soul and you're confused and you're anxious and afraid, please remember that there's help out there in form of readers and spiritually awoken people that can at least help you understand the process of what it is you're going through. Even though they may not even necessarily understand what you're feeling and why, they will certainly understand that you're going through the process of the dark night of the soul, and they will be able to sort of, if they've been there themselves, give you some sort of guidance And a lot of people that are spiritually aware, um, even from a young age, go through this. It's crucial. Yeah. We're all conditioned to have an ego. It helps us survive in society. And, but your ego becomes destructive when you stop listening to your intuition altogether. Yeah. A balance between your ego and your intuition is the most moderate approach to life. Understanding your ego and knowing when it is fear-based and when it is destructive to whatever situation you're in, is the result of waking up to spiritual truth. You know, you start to get a feeling for what serves you and what is for your greatest good and what isn't. But don't lose hope if you're in this situation. If you do find that you want to speak to someone who has been through this, feel free to email me, or even leave a comment. I will always read them and write back. And give you a means of contacting me privately so I can sort of point you in the right direction, okay? Right, I'm going to leave it here for now. I hope you've enjoyed this and found this somewhat informative. If not, just skip it, unsubscribe, you know. It's okay, it's fine. And I'll see you next time. The next video I'm going to be doing is either going to go more into the dark night of the soul or into twin flame purpose. I haven't quite made up my mind yet. I'm working on both. And I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye, darlings, and see you next time. Thank you for watching.